What's going on, folks? Your boy again, Dr. Thomas, back in the building with the Be More Today show. We are back. We are back. We are back in the building, folks. And still in the month of March, we are here. It is March Babies Month. My birthday is in the month of March, the 23rd. So happy birthday to all my March babies. I appreciate all you so much. And my daughter and the CEO of JAG Physical Therapy, John Galucci, and I share the same birthday. So big ups to John Galucci. Happy birthday to you, sir, as well. The Be More Today show continues to grow, and now we're in season 5, and we're doing so many great things. As you know, Be More Today is a movement, and we've done dreams for our challenges, our Steps to Greatness challenge, our Be More Today stores continue to be open for all things that are related to you being the best person you can be, for fitness, for all things involved. And if you want to be a part of our movement, the show was on YouTube and on all major podcasts, now heard in 82 countries, over 58,000 downloads. Again, thanks to your love and support. This show continues to grow, and I'm just thankful that we keep putting on good content to showcase what's happening in the world in a positive light. And for this month, Women's History Month, I have a special quote by Vera Wang, and she says, "Success isn't about the end result. It's about what you learn along the way." And it's true. I mean, success is one thing that happens. It's a beautiful thing to have success, right? We see it on Instagram and on TikTok and on our socials, and we all talk about success and what that really means. But so much of that really happens in the background, behind the scenes. If you're talking about the sports world, it happens really on the playing field. And sometimes on the road to success, there are challenges, there are injuries, there are setbacks, there are downfalls that you have to get back up again to keep pushing to be successful. And I thought for myself, for the month of March, we celebrate Women's History Month, and we also celebrate Athletic Trainers Month. What better way to combine the two and bring on two of the baddest ATs that I know at JAB Physical Therapy? I want to introduce to you guys two about great ATs, Stephanie and Kristen, and they are going to talk about the beauty of athletic training and how this month is a special month for us at JAG Physical Therapy. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, pets included, please welcome to the stage my two guests for the show, Stephanie and Kristen from JAG PT. Ladies, what is going on?
Thank you, Sean. What an excellent introduction. Like you mentioned, such an exciting month, being able to celebrate women and the profession of athletic training. So we're so happy to be here today.
I appreciate
Awesome.
both of you. Kristen, how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks so much for that introduction. And yeah, this is a great month. We have Women's History Month and National Athletic Training Month. So we're really excited to get talking about both of those topics today. And I know we'll have some pretty good insight. And we're excited for this.
Awesome. So, ladies, just so people know who you are and what you do and how amazing you are, I'll start with Stephanie. Stephanie, we had you on the show last year for 18 months. We did a whole series
Yeah.
on all the facets of athletic training, and I was just blown away by how much ATs really do. But just take a second and just share with listeners, what you do for JAG PT, your main role as director of athletic training, and how long you've been doing this, just so you know what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. No, again, really grateful to be back here again to discuss this exciting topic. Yes, as you mentioned, I'm the director of athletic training. So I do have a team of athletic trainers, athletic training leadership and athletic trainers, but Kristen being one of our leaders. We oversee about 15 full-time athletic trainers that work at outreach sites inclusive of middle schools, high schools, colleges, professional sports, and organizations, as well as about 120 per diem athletic trainers throughout the states of New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. So really just, having the opportunity to be the director of a program like this is really exciting because, I get to work with these ATs hands-on on the field, but also help them, grow as professionals, providing them with the resources possible. Here at JAG, the opportunities for ATs are endless. And I'm really excited to be able to provide those opportunities to our current team and any prospective candidates that want to join our team.
Awesome. And Kristen?
Yes, so I'm the manager of athletic training. So I kind of sit directly underneath Stephanie. And then essentially everything that she's doing, I'm kind of right there next to her, helping her complete and everything to get done. So again, whether that comes to leading our full-time team, we have about 15 full-time athletic trainers who are in high schools, middle schools, professional organization, colleges. There's a lot that comes in athletic training. We have, a lot of domains that come with it. So we do have, our team of leadership to go and assist them. And then, of course, as she said, with the per diem. Another initiative we really like to focus on is, how to increase awareness about the profession, how to increase awareness throughout students who might be interested. So that's also another role we take in JAG, is generally trying to increase awareness, and everything that goes with that for the profession.
Awesome. Awesome. Again, great things, and so excited to have you both on the show today. So let's talk about those things, interesting things that are happening in the world of AT. I know that most professions change every single year, and there's growth, there's progress, and the AT profession is one of those same things that continues to grow every single year. Can you just share with us some of the things and some of the ways the profession has been growing, even since last time we spoke, Stephanie, last year, and maybe even some of the experiences that for those who are looking to get into the AT profession or are curious about it, what they can know about what's happening right now in the world of AT?
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot, like you mentioned, a lot's always changing in a lot of professions, this one especially. So I think COVID was a turning point for a lot of different industries, especially in the healthcare industry, not just ATs, PTs, everyone working in the hospital setting. So, but since last year, we are seeing even more growth in the different settings, like we just mentioned. So we're, seeing more growth, not only in that traditional setting, quote unquote, because now I don't know there's such thing as a traditional setting since we work in so many settings.
Yeah.
But there has been growth even in younger, school traditional settings like middle schools. We're even getting contacted for youth programs in middle school. So that's something that has grown in the last year, as well as more athletic trainers being seen in, physician offices and the industrial setting, hospitals, all those things. So the settings alone, we've seen an increase in, and I think that has to do with the schooling. The athletic training profession has since transitioned into a master's program, which we were aware of last year, but a lot has changed since last year due to the fact that these programs have finally hit the ground running. You're getting to see these new cohorts coming through, and these new professionals coming out of it with, a lot of different background and education, because similar to PT, if anyone's aware too, you can major in, I guess, essentially whatever you want, even though you want to gear it towards the healthcare field or biology or exercise science. Now athletic training is very similar. So a lot of these professional athletic trainers are coming with, a lot of different backgrounds in education, and then pursuing that 2-year master's degree. So, in the last year alone, there's been a lot more awareness to these programs, because the schools themselves, are going out there and recruiting to bring them in. Here at JAG, that's also, Kristen already kind of touched on this, but we're really looking to bring awareness to any age, whether they're an athlete, a student. I mean, as young as middle school, we're going to career fairs in middle schools now to just bring awareness to the programs, or the profession, I should say, because they're most likely going to come across athletic trainers now, even as young as middle school or younger than elementary school. So if they could, understand who that person is that's helping them on the sidelines, or, after school if they got hurt, that's just something we want to bring awareness to. But that's what we've seen grow in this last year, especially, is those, those settings that have the opportunity.
That's great.
Right.
Go ahead, Kristen.
I was gonna say, even with that, there's been also a lot of, items from the states legally that has kind of increased awareness and, everything about athletic training too. So even this past year, I think it really came into effect since last year, in New Jersey, Governor Murphy, he actually signed 2 athlete health safety bills, which is great. So the first one essentially said that all outdoor activities have to be monitored through heat. So, heat stroke is definitely a real problem in athletics. So, they did a really good job in the state of New Jersey signing this bill to say, hey, we can't just go based off the temperature. There's a lot of things, whether it's humidity feels like and everything like that. So that has to be monitored. That's something that was great. Another thing in that bill that also had to be done was they enacted that every public school has to have an emergency action plan. So emergency action plans are great. They're, exactly as they sound, a plan for when an emergency hits. A lot of times emergencies, they can be dealt with very swiftly if everybody knows where proper medical equipment are, like an AED, if people know where to go, if everyone knows their role in a situation, that can really help save lives. So those were 2 really good things coming out of New Jersey. Was, again, these were enacted into law, and we're seeing a lot of other states have bills that are very similar. I'm going to give New Jersey a pat on the back for athletic training as well, because our state actually has a 91%, fill rate of full-time athletic trainers for public schools. And the national average is only about 37.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yep, New Jersey does actually it's the best job in the country, pretty closely followed by Pennsylvania. So tri-state area is doing very well. But we know it's definitely a priority. Also, New York, recently they passed a law that says athletic trainers have to be licensed. So all athletic trainers have to be certified, meaning they go through a certified and accredited KD program. And about 90% of athletic trainers throughout the country have to be licensed. But New York previously did not require a license, meaning they would not need to apply to the medical board, have a state license in order to practice. But New York actually did just pass that in the fall, so extremely recently. So now, that's great for New York as well. All athletic trainers have to be licensed in the state of New York and certified. So again, every year things are changing, things are getting better for this profession. And I think in, just about the best possible ways, whether it comes to media coverage and, increased jobs, and we're having a lot of legislation that's really supportive. So it's definitely getting better with that.
That's great. That is fantastic. And, I think the prestige is finally getting to where it needs to be for ATs. ATs have been on the sidelines doing a number of things for years. But, I think the master's program change is a huge one. I think the licensure is a huge one as well. And, I'm glad that it's happening across the country now. I'm
Right.
curious though, I know, New York versus Jersey is different. Pennsylvania is also a little different. How do people go about trying to find what AT programs are in their area? Like if you even are trying to apply to school in certain areas or looking for ATs to help in certain sports or programs, how do you go about that? How should people go about that?
Right. So to find an AT program, so our, I guess, governing body is called CATIE. So it's very similar, I guess, to CAPTE, right? Physical therapy. So just CAATE. So essentially, if somebody's in high school, they're in college, and they're looking, how do I find, a master's program for athletic training? They can essentially Google CATIE, and again, that's CAATE, and you essentially get Google CATIE programs, and then they actually have a whole list. So in that, they did a great job setting it up. All you have to do is click filter by state, and then it'll show you every single athletic training program in your state. So
Okay.
that's really the best way to do it. Even when you're on that tab, it'll give you a lot of really useful information like program outcomes, retention rates, VOC pass rates, which says, when somebody takes the exam to be certified, what was the program's pass rate? It'll link you directly to the website. So that's probably the best way to go. There was previously a lot of almost jargon confusion with, is it an athletic trainer? Is it a personal trainer? Is it a PT? Because a lot of these fields have a lot of overlap. So it's hard to find, exactly what you're looking for. And then some people, they think they want to be athletic trainer, they think they want a PT, but they don't exactly know what falls into what domain. So usually it's best when, people are trying to figure out whichever route they're trying to take is go to the governing body website. It'll tell you exactly what you need to know and then what programs, then people can be kind of put on the right path.
Copy. Got it. Thank you so much. So I'm curious. I know that the profession is growing now, but I also know just in some of my research and talking to some of you guys that there were shortages when it came to ATs for a while, right? COVID-19 and other things. With all the changes that are happening now, and I'll probably relate this question to Stephanie, what has happened in terms of making this profession better to make sure that you're bringing people back, or even if not bringing people back, you're giving maybe more compensation to some of the ATs who have been here, have been doing things. How are you guys, and how is the profession handling COVID-19, changing insurances or billing for, community programs like this? What's happening right now?
Yeah, so no, you're right about the shortage. So, where that shortage really came from was not only COVID in the profession itself, but the switch to the master's program. So not every single bachelor's athletic training program had a master's program within the same school. So there were some schools we saw that who didn't have the master's program originally that just got rid of the program totally when they switched to a master's because they didn't have the framework and maybe they didn't have the needs there. So we saw the shortage because there was less schools to go to with that. we've seen that the cohorts in all these master programs have been a bit smaller since the transition about 2 years ago. However, that gap year, we're hoping that has since ended. We're seeing the cohorts grow. And I do believe that's just because of the awareness that's brought to the profession on the media and things of that nature. However, things that we've seen in the community and that we're also doing here in terms of awareness is bringing it again to the younger students. So here at JAG, we're working with our high school athletic trainers to help grow student aid athletic training program. So, it's someone that can hang out with you after school, get to learn the ropes about what you're doing, and get a good feel for what the profession might be like, especially because they won't see that profession or really be hands-on in it until they're about a junior or a senior in college, third or fourth year now because of the master's. So, we're trying to rectify this shortage by truly bringing awareness through a lot of different channels. But us here, we're working on student aid programs in high schools, as well as, again, trying to grow the partners that we have in the different settings so we can give these athletic trainers opportunities in those different settings. So I think the shortage we're hoping, is coming to an end because we're seeing these cohorts grow. We're also hearing about some of these schools that might have had to drop the program because of not having the masters, bringing it back, working with those that are still practicing or are providing the master's program. Bringing different opportunities through those undergrad programs, making sure they could bring awareness to AT sooner, freshman, sophomore year, than just waiting until that third or fourth year. So that's what we've seen so far. And that's, a few things we've been doing here at JAG. I don't know if Kristen has anything to add to that too, because this is primarily what we work on each and every day here.
Right. Yes. No, especially being in management. It is really exciting to see, the newer professionals coming into it. But, just as Stephanie said, there was a couple gap years where the profession did not see as many licensed professionals coming out as we would like to. And especially, NCA actually released an entire article about this. They talked about the shortage in athletic trainers in the college setting, and that was kind of their main theme here. And what's kind of looked at as a shortage isn't exactly a shortage, but most athletic trainers previously, you had 2 or 3 settings. You had the high school, you had college, and you had professional. But now that there's so many other settings, essentially we just need more professionals in the field. A lot of athletic trainers, they want to switch to other settings. Maybe instead of a high school, they want to work for the military, or instead of a college, they want to go and, work for the orthopedic surgeon who they knew. So a lot of these, we'll say shortages, are really just more people expanding their bandwidth to other settings. And it seems like a shortage because, again, a lot of high schools, colleges, whoever, they do have open slots, but there is also a huge increase of people, moving to other settings. Like, again, in a physical therapy clinic, athletic trainers can work in, they can work in the industrial, performing arts. There's just been so many other settings rather than really just those top 3 that, some of those traditional settings, they do need more people. So when it comes down to it, just as Stephanie said, we need more people to graduate. It's a really growing profession. Again, we went from 3 settings to probably 10 or more. So that's what it comes down to as well.
That's great. And, I think the growth is astronomical in the sense that it's going to be continuing. I mean, with all that's been going on and all the exposure that's been put on the AT profession recently, especially with so many things happening in sports and the media. I'm thinking about the Buffalo Bills safety, Damar Hamlin, that happened in January. And I'm just curious from both of your perspectives, how that incident, and for those who may not know, maybe you can explain to them exactly what happened, how that incident may have changed the scope or the respect or the acknowledgement of how important ATs really are when it comes to being on the field and responding appropriately at the right time. So I'll leave it to both of you just to share, kind of what happened with the Damar Hamlin incident. And then I guess the AT perspective on how important the response was and how timely it was to save his life.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty pivotal moment. I mean, it's somebody who is very much in the public eye, got injured in essentially the most public sport in all of America, and it happened right on camera. Everything from him being injured, him being, essentially revived on the field, and then being taken care of. So if you don't know what happened, Damar Hamlin in January in 2023, he had a sudden cardiac arrest on the field. So Essentially, when that happens, there's a disruption in the cardiac rhythm, and then an athlete can go down. It's pretty rare in athletics, but unfortunately, sudden cardiac arrest is essentially the number one killer in athletics. That's, if we're going to talk about deaths in athletics, that is really what the number one cause is, whether cardiac arrest, and they talk about heat stroke, everything in that realm. But unfortunately, most of the stuff, it's not publicized as you would imagine. So when it happens, at a high school or at a college, even anybody working out, maybe on like a track, they're running, doing whatever. Of course, there's not a whole media coverage on it because, we just don't do that in the medical world. But with this, everything was on camera and it couldn't have been avoided. So the people who actually did save him in terms of, doing the emergency action plan, using CPR, using the AED, that was the athletic trainers and then the medical team. So when it comes to the NFL, the athletic trainers are generally the first line of care. And then there's actually about 25 medical professionals in an entire NFL athletic game. But the athletic trainers do usually take the rope when it comes down to the emergency action plan and then delegating roles and everything in that realm. So again, when they saved him, it was the athletic trainers were the ones who took the lead on it. And then because of their swift action, of course, he's alive and well today. And he actually, is very thankful for all these efforts put together by the entire medical team. That was a big operation done with a lot of people. But he actually took up some pretty cool initiatives where afterwards he wanted to kind of spread the word about sudden cardiac arrest in sports, the importance of AEDs, the importance of emergency action plans. So he was a great kind of public figure to go ahead and take the leads on that. He actually traveled to several major cities, I know out in the Pittsburgh area, Chicago area, but him and then some of his team, they were providing free CPR training to anybody who particularly needed it, free hands-on CPR training. And he actually gifted several AEDs to your youth organizations. So that was really cool for him to do. Again, he got very lucky with it. He was so lucky because he did have a really good team around him. So especially him, he knows the importance of having AEDs, having emergency action plans set out, and having good quality medical care that's essentially, on the field. Of course, we can always, have something go uncovered, call 911. But when it comes to sudden cardiac arrest, I mean, minutes, seconds matter. We don't always have time or the liberty of, based on an injury, just to call and wait 10 minutes for EMS to arrive. So it's very nice having that dedicated medical professional, especially when it comes to the youth. I've always heard the quote, we have all this care for our professional or collegiate athletes. Why would we not have the same level of care for our children? So same thing in that. It's nice having somebody directly on the sideline so it can give parents and everybody ease of mind. And this kind of highlighted that entire scenario there.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Steph.
Yeah, no, I mean, Kristen hit the nail on the head there that, it's a very unfortunate incident, of course. But, Jamar, very lucky and very grateful for the outcome of that. And again, it brought awareness to the athletic trainer truly because, again, as Kristen said, they were the first responder on the field, although there's a team of people ready to act. That athletic trainer, was showcased for their efforts, and it really brought a positive light to the profession and everything that we're prepared to do. I mean, we prepare for the unplanned. So that, showcased that right there. So, I mean, again, she really pretty much, again, mentioned everything it's done for the profession. But I also like that she touched on, although the profession was highlighted, I just think the importance of emergency responsiveness, even for the lay person, is super important. So, I mean, Kristen and myself are CPR instructors for JAG Physical Therapy. So I just think bringing awareness to something as important as being able to provide CPR, with or without all the tools, you might have to provide CPR when you least expect it, not on the side of a field. So I think bringing awareness to that was also very important. However, tying it back to AT, like Kristen said, having that person dedicated to providing these services at all levels, of athletics is something that, again, unfortunately, this unfortunate incident helped grow that awareness to having that person on site.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the game. It's amazing how, TV and media is so is so vibrant. So
Mhm.
it was like the shot heard around the world. No matter if you wanted to see it or not, everyone heard about it. It was on Instagram, it was on TV, it was everywhere. It was on ESPN, all these different things. And I'm just grateful that it was a successful execution of what we should be doing as healthcare professionals. They did what they
Mhm.
had to do. They did it very, very well. And it was almost seamless. And the beauty of that is that, we prepare for all these things, but like you said, ATs are always just ready for the unknown, the unexpected. I think sometimes as healthcare professionals, especially if you're in environments where that's not always the norm, or that's not always the first thing to think about, we can sometimes become complacent to not be ready for these things. So I think it is a good charge, Steph, to remind our healthcare professionals, PTs, OTs,
Mhm.
ATs, everyone, this could happen any point in time. This could happen on a Monday morning at 7:30 in the morning when it seems like it's just quiet and everybody's coming in doing regular exercises. Someone can have a heart attack or a cardiac arrest. These things can happen. We have our AEDs in our buildings and wherever you are, but just to be ready for those things and to even have planned exercises where if this were to go down today at this time, how we respond.
Mhm.
And I think that's something that not just us at JAG should be doing, but us around the world professionals, just to be ready for these things, because you never know. I mean, I think about all the things that we've seen in the last couple of years when it comes to high school kids and even in junior high school kids who are also having cardiac arrest at younger ages. I know when I was playing sports at that age, that was never a thing. We never had any thought of, a 13-year-old having a heart attack,
Mhm.
playing, pickup football or flag football, whatever else. But these things are happening now due to a number of other things happening, in our societies and environments and just health in general for us. But being ready for those things, regardless, it's just great for us to do. So
Mhm.
I hope that we just take that more seriously, like you said. Completely agree with that.
Right. Yeah, and I think, I mean, any organization, whether it's, sports organizations, coaches, PT clinics, however, I think usually, the best thing that anybody can do is have some sort of plan, have designate, when we go through in athletics, whether it's from the top level, the highest, the NFL, down to high school or whoever, everybody has a job, everybody has a role. So, we'll go through and assign, okay, if there's a sudden cardiac arrest or whatever it might be, we're going to have this person's going to take the lead. This person's going to call 911. This person's going to get the AED. That way it's all very set. Because of course, when an emergency happens, you don't really have time to, who's going to do this, who's going to do
Right.
that, however it goes, is the door unlocked, how we get
Right.
the, I mean, and when you look at a real good emergency action plan, they go everything to who's unlocking the gates, who's going to
Mhm.
let the EMS in. I mean, you
Mm,
can do everything is great, saving the person, but what if EMS can't get in the building?
right.
So, you need to think of every single thing that can be done and set out. Even at JAG for athletic training, we do offer emergency action planning services. So if anybody does, want some help trying to figure out how they can get a proper emergency action plan for whatever the setting, whatever it is, that's something that we can, assist with and help set up. Because again, when with these kind of situations, you have to think about every single thing before it happens. So it's already pre-planned and made out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. That's great. In the spirit of Women's History Month, I did want to ask a question that is a pressing one and always one that comes up, not always, but every now and then. And this kind of goes across all healthcare professions, but I think it's a little more obvious in terms of sports professions or professions that involve movement. Um, and my question is very, very simple. Even in PT, there are people who come in and they come in asking for a male therapist because they believe a male therapist can do certain things and a female therapist can't. When it comes to uh, fitness and stretching, whatever else, all these different myths that we've talked about on the show a number of times. And I'm just curious in the AT world, as I have both of you ladies on the show right now, in the spirit of Women's History Month, have you ever experienced or heard of or seen, and I'm sure you have, but I wanted just to get your opinion on some of the biases that you may see as female ATs um, in the athletic training world. And that may come from athletes who are seeing you as trainers, that may come as um, fellow coworkers who are males who are seeing you as female ATs. Are there any biases that are in, I'm not just saying at JAG, I just mean in profession in general, that you may see that are challenges to your work as a female AT? Or do you feel like the profession at this point in time in this progression has kind of evened the playing field in terms of the scope of what anyone can do in terms of being an AT?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. At this point in time, I don't think it's so much a male dominated profession as it was in the past. I'm pretty sure we're evening out there. So I have been very lucky personally in my profession so far, where all of like my full-time roles or, roles where I spent a lot of time at were actually led by female athletic trainers. So I think those women led the way in their athletic training rooms. And I didn't, I really never came across a time where they were preferring us, against the male AT that was maybe at that setting. But that's not to say, I haven't come across that, like you mentioned. It certainly happens, when you're treating patients, as as a physical therapist, it's a very personal, intimate setting. So there are times where maybe a male is preferred for one reason or another, but we don't always have that. A lot of high schools in the area, specifically high schools, might only have one athletic trainer. So there's not always the option of having that, maybe male AT step in if requested. So, again, times maybe I've come across the preference, or it may or may not be because of male or female preference, but rather they didn't know who I was. If I was covering random tournament soccer games, they're hesitant to come to me, but I'm unsure if that was because of, male or female, or just, again, not being familiar. But all I could say is, as long as you're confident in what you're saying and you have the proper resources to provide these athletes that are in need of help, especially in a pinch, I've had, great success with that. It is difficult to, sometimes difficult to get through to someone you've never met and explain to them they have to come out of the game the rest of the day. And, that could be challenging, but I'm the only provider on site. So in that instance, as long as I'm confident, in what I'm, providing them and giving them there, I have seen great success with that. But honestly, throughout my profession, I have had female athletic trainers almost lead the way in every setting I've worked in, which has really helped, again, pave the way for the athletes they see. And then again, bring awareness that you're going to get male and female ATs, and you might only have one or the other. So, again, it's been a great ride in that sense, but it's certainly, I'm sure the bias is absolutely out there.
I'd say I have and I haven't. So I think I know, especially when I was in college, I do remember a very particular instance where I think I was trying to stretch a football player or something like that. And he's like, no, I need whoever to stretch me. And I was like, why not? He's like, well, you can't stretch me. You're too small. I am 5 foot. So, I mean, I understand, I understand his thing, but I was like, well, hang on. I don't want to be seen like that. So, I took it upon myself to be like, okay, obviously I am a smaller female, so I need to figure out some ways to make this work because this is how we're going to do it. So I think even in that way, it's, increasing your confidence, finding out ways to make it work. If he wants his hamstring stretched on a table, well, then I might just stand up on top of that table and stretch it that way, or have them lie on the floor and go that way. I think there's a lot of ways to work around things. And I think that I personally, throughout any instance like that, and I will try to work on, either just the way that you communicate to people. I think, whether it's a male or female patients, they can kind of get a read on you if you're going to be a good clinician or not, based on your confidence, based on your knowledge, how you treat them as well. So I think that increasing all of those things can kind of help reduce any sort of bias in that way. I know when I was in college, again, when I worked with the football team at Delaware, I was assigned to the offensive lineman, and you really can't get much bigger than that. And they were essentially my group for the whole semester. And I was like, you know what? The shortest one I have here, I think, is 6'4", but that's okay. We're gonna make it work. And that's what we did. We did a lot of kneeling evaluations. I got a lot of step stools, and it was fine. It was great. So it was good to have that. And I think that, again, having the experience of working with the larger group, especially when I went and I was a professional, in my own setting and everything in that regard, it wasn't a problem in that way. And I think, again, once you build your confidence, even the difference between size, male, female, however, once they know that you're a good clinician, it doesn't exactly matter. But that's not to say those hurdles won't exist initially, because, again, they happen for me. I know they happen for a lot of people. I mean, really, up until a couple of years ago, you didn't even see full-time female athletic trainers in the NFL. I think as of now, they definitely have. I think there's probably at least 10 or 12 now, which is great. But I remember, I think it was Gatorade, actually, they made a pretty cool video where they highlighted, it was in 2021, they made a pretty cool video highlighting the 6 full-time athletic trainers in the NFL who were females. And
Mm.
that's out of, you know, the 100+ athletic trainers who might exist, and there were 6. But again, that's something that is increasing and doing it well. I think, as you were saying, the playing field has kind of gotten level. Females in general in sports are becoming a lot more common. You even see them in, you know, there's some assistant strength coaches in the NFL. You have the nutritionists, the athletic trainers, even some coaching rules. So I think everything in that regard is getting a lot better. And you really have to hand it to you know, the females who were there ahead of time, who really had to forge that, and it makes everybody who's in our generation have a little bit easier of a time. But I think that they did a great job kind of, you know, fighting for their place and doing such a good job at their job that we're not just seen as a male or female athletic trainer. We're just simply seen as an athletic trainer, and whoever's going to be there to do the best job, you know, they're going to do it. And that's kind of how people want to, you know, whether it comes to hiring or working with someone, that's what they want. They want whoever's going to do the best job. So I think personally now it's definitely gotten a lot better in that regard. Thankful to the other athletic trainers and the generations ahead of us.
Yeah, I love to see it. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and you know,
Mhm.
I always highlight the people when I see them on TV, the female coaches, the female trainers, all of it, and I love it, and that's how it should be. Like you said, not about male, female, but about who's doing the best job, who is going to go out there and give you the best care that you need, and to trust that thing. My coach in college was, her name was Ann Rothenberg. She's 4'11", and I had so much respect for her because she was a trailblazer in so many other ways. And just talking about athletics and respect for females in these realms, once you know what you're talking about, no one cares what you are. And I've just come to appreciate that. I think the world should do that too. So, ladies, any final tips you want to share about Athletic Training Month as we close out this month? Any tips you want to share with those who are looking at get into the profession, are in the profession, are doing things now, and just advice you want to share with fellow ATs, or anything else random regarding National Athletic Training Month?
Yeah, I mean, for those that might be looking into the profession or, like you said, in it already, you know, one thing I like to hit on is just never stop learning. I mean, I know we're forced to go through these programs, and you have, you know, the classes you have to take, but now having the ability to get a bachelor's degree in another, you know, another discipline is, I think, is exciting. So with that, you know, again, always take the opportunities to learn a little bit more. We're gonna keep doing it when you know, where you are a professional and you're certified. We have to get our continuing ed credits every year. But when you're learning, you're also making connections. So I really think it goes hand in hand with, you know, if you're going out there to, you know, gain some knowledge, you're also going to make some relationships along the way. So, you know, anyone in the profession or looking in the profession, never stop growing in both of those directions. You never know who you're going to meet and come across. And, you know, with all the changes that have been going on in the field of athletic training and the opportunities that are coming up, you could be that first thought if you meet someone, again, maybe trailblazing in a new setting, or, you know, paving the way, you know, in a new direction, that they might think of you first for that opportunity if you make that relationship and share your interests. So, you know, it's something I share with, you know, people, our candidates that are looking to join our team, and those that are looking to join the profession. For the month as a whole, I think it's just important for everyone to pick out those athletic trainers that they see on the field or maybe in their industries. Say thank you to them. Now, you know, we're doing everything behind the scenes. You see us taping ankles, you know, again, you see us maybe carrying some water bottles, but, you know, to thank them for everything that they're doing behind the scenes that you might not know. You know, a lot of us are also educating each other. Like I mentioned, never stop growing in the education world. You know, we're helping educate people. A lot of us are CPR instructors ourselves. You know, we're doing a lot of different things that might not be the typical thought of what an AT does. So for those in the community, just point them out, see where they are. You never know, again, where we're hiding, maybe in another professional setting or an industrial setting or in a hospital. So I just think, again, for the community to be on the lookout for all the ATs out there and say thank you for the month.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I think for anybody looking to get into it, I'd say number one, of course, do your research. And number two, you know, get out there and shadow. I think shadowing and athletic training wasn't exactly I think of the past because, usually we started as bachelors and then we were shadowing almost freshman year, but now that you can't get too much on-field exposure till junior year. Get out and shadow. Just, you went to high school, email your athletic trainer, hey, can I come and shadow you? Come see what you do for a day. And really see how it looks to actually be an athletic trainer in any sort of setting, whether it comes to colleges, high schools, whoever it is, whatever setting you want to get into. Really get into it. And I think anybody who's currently in our profession, I would just say keep advocating for yourself and keep advocating for our profession, especially, with the shortage. I'd say athletic trainers, we've become a hot commodity. So, we get contacted by a lot of people who are having trouble filling the positions, and those who are at their current positions are really truly valued. And I think that really helps them if they would advocate for themselves, advocate their profession, and we really do have a good thing going. We just have to keep spreading awareness and spreading everything that we can to kind of get this profession really up and going once again.
Awesome. Stephanie, last question. How can people get in contact with our JAG AT services? They do want to have you guys come on board in any capacity. How would they go about doing that?
Yeah, no, that's great. So you can contact our leadership team at athletictraining@jagpt.com. If someone's interested in learning more about what we have to offer or the profession itself, you could visit jagpt.com/services/athletic training. Right there, you can find, how to contact us in regard to the service itself, being on site at your event, as well as employment with us in a full-time, part-time, or per diem capacity. Another note, it's very fun. We have a lot of fun content coming out for the National Athletic Training Month on social media. So you can follow at JAG Physical Therapy on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Again, a lot of cool content coming out that our whole team of athletic trainers has collaborated on together to share with the community.
Awesome. Ladies, thank you so much for being on the show today. You made this one for the books. I really appreciate it, and happy 18 months to both of you.
Thank you, Sean. This has been great.
Yes, thank you so much for having us on.
No problem. No problem. And folks, it says so many poignant things. It's really talking about success. Back to our quote, right? Success isn't about the end result. It's about what you learn along the way. These two ladies have done so much for this profession. And for so many athletes that they've touched on the high school field, college field, professional field, they do the things to make other people successful. And not about the end result always. It's really more about just helping people do what they have to do in the moment, in the trial, during the test, during the injury, to get to where you want to be in the long run. So we appreciate all ATs around the world for AT month. We appreciate all women for Women's History Month. And all my March birthday people, you already know, happy birthday to each and every one of you. We'll see you next time for our Be More Today show. And until next time, continue to be more in 24. We'll see you later. Peace.